Roll Tide, everybody, and welcome back to the show. We're brought to you by Pearl River Resort, Philadelphia, Mississippi. The Azaleas, the Oaks, two amazing golf courses there at Dancing Rabbit, Philip M. Steakhouse, or maybe you guys are just cashing in your winnings from the Timeout Sports Lounge because you took Bama as an underdog against Georgia in Athens, and the same fate to the Dogs that they've had 10 out of the last 11 meetings. They got rolled up by Alabama. Let's get the show started. All right, Roll Tide, everybody. And from the open, you know that's Mike Johnson. I'm Mick Gillespie. Mike, you ought to be my partner. I mean, I see this open, and we have so many memories together over the years. You know, we did a lot of football shows together. We love Alabama. And one of the things we love the most is kicking Georgia's ass.
Yeah, man. Was there a game on Saturday? I live over here in Atlanta. It was cool, man. Everybody asked me what I did. You know what I did on Saturday? It was my wife's birthday, and she wanted to go to dinner with friends. So me and my homies, a.k.a. my two toddlers, got on the couch for a little bit and watched the game. I did the whole thing where I had kept the earpiece in and kept the iPad nearby, through bedtime, bath time, whatever it is. But I was glued, dude. What a great win. What a statement win. I don't think that this nullifies any of the concerns I have long-term about this program, or do I think they're going to Atlanta to play in the SEC title or going to win the Natty? No, but, man, that one felt good. Not going to lie to you. It's just time after time, man. You just never know what you're getting when this team rolls it out on the field, but that one felt good. The atmosphere they had Saturday night, the way that, everybody was kind of approaching this game, and got a little inkling, Mick, as the 3.5 point line moves to 3 and then the 2.5 is like, what's going on here? But I just thought the way that they performed on the field Saturday was nothing short of incredible, man.
Yeah, well, they played a really, really good game, fundamentally sound. Best fundamental game since Kalen DeBoer is head coach at Alabama. And hopefully this is a trend. I love the fact that there weren't a lot of penalties. One of the penalties that they got, that targeting penalty, I adamantly disagree with. But then, I was talking to Clint Lamb on the postgame show, and he's like, well, that's a penalty that's kind of just geared towards those guys, the guy trying to knock the football out with his helmet, not having head issues down the road. But I didn't think it was targeting. You take that away, I mean, Bama played about as penalty-free as you possibly can.
Yeah, that really, to me, was the story of the game because, we talked about it last week. Bama hasn't been good on the road. They haven't been good away from Bryant-Denny Stadium. And so you look at that, there was such a feel of sloppiness when it comes to that Florida State game. Really, not only offensively, but defensively, the back end, all the motions that Gus Malzahn threw at you. And I thought that you communicated so well. That's one of the things that jumped out to me. The offensive line switching off twist games, picking up stunts. Ty Simpson had all day at times to deliver the football down the field. That was one of the things that stuck out to me. And then just your communication. Georgia's got good players, man. They've got too much talent to not pick up chunk yardage here and there. I was a little bit disappointed in the run defense, but I think you bring up a good point. That was the first and foremost, man, the penalties. You just, in that atmosphere, in that situation, how much you've struggled on the road to be able to go out there and operate that high of a level. I don't know that I could possibly think better of Ty Simpson after the coming out party he had Saturday night. So it kind of all goes together. It was a great feeling.
Yeah. Well, then we'll get to that. He led the team, right?
Yeah.
No penalties, hardly. First time since DeBoer's been there, right? That the Bama had less penalties than the opposition in one of these big games, and then no turnovers. And that's where I guess a good transition to Ty is that he protects the football. We kept hearing that during the practices, like the quarterback battle and all that stuff. That hey man, this guy looks the part, but he was throwing darts too, man. Like he's stepping up in the pocket and just ripping off throws. And he's got a lot of guys that can catch the ball, except Ryan Williams sometimes catches the ball, but he's open a lot, and it gets to him.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt, and the focus obviously being on Jeremy Bernard. I'll say this too, Ty Simpson. First thing they show on ESPN is him kind of doing that talking to the team in the tunnel. And To me, Mick, as a guy who thought of myself as a leader, obviously, was lucky enough to be voted as a captain. There's always such a danger in that. When you're a quarterback, you don't have a proven track record. You're kind of stepping into the limelight. It's almost like if you don't play well, your team's going to look at you and feel like you're kind of phony. You know what I mean? It's like, why is this guy talking and hyping me up like he's giving a pregame speech? But the way he came out and played absolutely matched that intensity from the tunnel. And I thought, okay, now you've established yourself, and now with everybody knowing that as part of this team, they're going to look at you in the future, and it snowballs from there because you not only talked the talk, you walked the walk. I thought it was just I could not have been more in awe of Ty Simpson, and I heard this stat earlier today, Mick, because I'm over here in Atlanta, man. That's all they want to talk about. How about the most third down conversions against Georgia in over 30 years? 30 years.
No way.
The most third down conversions against Georgia in 30 years. So that's kudos to him. You had 2 14-play drives early in the game. Just incredible, the ability to stay on the field, the offensive line operating at a high level, and they just were clicking, man. It was impressive.
Yeah. Wow. That's impressive, man. I knew that Ty was really killing it. I like the play calling. I thought Ryan Grubb did a great job just keeping Georgia off balance. That's a good maybe even eventually great Georgia team. Their offense to me isn't prolific, but their defense is solid. Their offense is solid. They got a good running game. It came down to a couple decisions, right? To go for it on fourth down instead of kicking a field goal. And then, they had a drop touchdown just like we did. And then what people are now deeming the flying dog, the guy that jumped on Ellis Robinson in the fourth, like he just decides to jump on the pile.
Yeah.
It's a 15-yarder.
I don't know why that wasn't a targeting or a crown of the helmet or whatever it might be.
It was something, right? It was something.
It was crazy, man. That whole everybody this morning in Atlanta wanted to talk about the fourth down conversion or the attempt at converting on fourth down. I didn't mind Kirby going for it, even like if I'm just looking at it as a neutral observer. All Georgia fans have been up in arms, like kick the field goal, tie the game. You haven't tied or been ahead the entire time. Why not tie the game? It's fourth down. I thought the play call was great. I thought that we just got a really, really great play out of LT Overton. But other than that, like the wide side of the field was wide open. There was no defenders setting the edge. I thought it was incredible. Cash Jones gets tackled by his shoelaces. So I thought it was a good call. Kirby kind of talked after the game about the sequencing of plays that if they gained yardage on third down, they were going for it on fourth. And I didn't mind it. I just, the ability of Alabama to stay on the field, I think weighed heavily on Kirby Smart's decision to go for it. Like, if you kick the field goal and tie the game, Bama could go, and I think it was like 12, 13 minutes left at that point. Bama then could go on an 8-minute drive. You had seen them do that earlier in the game and kind of take the clock out of your hands. And they don't even have to. And I know that Bama didn't score, second half points at that point, but you could go down there and really push the envelope if you're Bama. So I didn't mind it from Kirby, man. He was trying to take control of the game. It was a home game, but I don't know. It didn't work out for him in the end, and Georgia fans weren't really happy about that outcome on that fourth down today.
Mike, we got some gear coming your way. I need to get your address when we get off the air here. But and you guys can get some of this Bama Tailgate Show gear as well. We got hats and shirts and Hawaiian shirts that we can give out to the right person. We want you to join Mick Nation Avenue D. There's the QR code right under my face there. Just scan it with your phone. Go on there. It's all free. Gave away tickets to Wisconsin. We got some other games we're going to do that as well for. So figuring all that out. But we give out cash prizes every week too. Everything's free. It's fun. It's a great way to interact and be part of what we do here on the Bama Tailgate Show. All right, Mike. So you're in Atlanta. You do the morning show, the sports morning show in Atlanta. You're on the Falcons coverage. A lot of Dawgs fans were looking for a Bama guy to attack today, and that's you.
It hadn't been too bad, man. I have a lot of respect for Georgia's program. I have a lot of respect for Kirby. I think I worked alongside Brandon Adams, who does Dawg Nation Daily, for years, and you know how I am, dude. You've been around me after wins and losses. I'm not high, I'm not low. It just kind of is what it is. I like to attack the nuts and the bolts of things. But as Georgia had the ball at some point in the fourth quarter against Bama, I'm kind of watching the game, and I'm like, man, this is so good. I have 2 TVs in my living room right now. I got a 65-inch, and then on the shelf, I've got a 50. And I'm watching Oregon Penn State go to overtime over here, and I see Georgia's got the ball. They're driving on this, and I was like, dude, this is why I love the fall. right? Like this is exactly why I love being in the fall, man. It's like, I think Josh Pate said this yesterday, and he's like, who in the history of civilization has it better than us on a Saturday in the fall? Nobody. Like this is the peak. This is the peak of humanity right now, watching these two games go down to the wire. So I tweeted out, thank God I have two TVs in my living room. These games are both incredible. This is why we love the fall. It's insane. All right, nothing about Bama, nothing about Georgia. I did get one Georgia fan. Again, Georgia fan's been very nice to me. I live over here. I love this place. Got a lot of respect for the program. Here's the response I get. Do you know you work for an Atlanta radio station, right? Kirby should have kicked the field goal. What the F is wrong with that guy? He's 107-14 as head coach with 50% of those losses against Alabama. When the Falcons crater tomorrow, I'm blowing you up post game if I hear any positivity. Dude, all I said was I'm glad I have two TVs and this is awesome to watch. I don't know what was so triggering about that, man, but
you're triggering the Atlanta sports fan.
Well, not only that, but the Falcons go out and get a huge victory against the Commanders yesterday, which was much needed in that realm. So it's good, man. No, it's I do the same thing, whether or not Bama wins or loses, just trying to breaking the game down, what worked, what didn't work. But I still think Georgia's a playoff team. I think what's crazy is you start seeing the odds come out, Mick, in the SEC of who's going to win the SEC championship. Right now, Ole Miss, this is from the S&P Plus, I believe. Ole Miss the favored and Missouri in second place, which, yeah, man, it's all about scheduling now with the 16 teams. You know, it's like, at one point, you would have talked about Ole Miss and Bama facing off. And I'll say this about the SEC, and I know we'll get back into the Georgia game too, but the ceiling of SEC teams has lowered and the floor has raised.
Yeah.
Right? Mississippi State's not a walkover. Lord knows we'll talk about Vanderbilt coming in town to face Alabama with College Game Day this weekend. And Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, Texas, like none of those teams are as good as they would have been 2, 3, 4 years ago. And it's a really good product right now to watch, man. I know a lot of people don't like the NIL and the transfer portal and all that stuff. I agree, but if you can get to just the nuts and bolts of watching the football game, dude, the product is insanely good right now.
Yeah. Look, Mississippi State, I thought, why is Vegas like keeping this line so low?
Yeah.
Tennessee coming to town. I thought Tennessee's going to beat these guys like a drum. I realized that Mississippi State's got a good team. They didn't win, but they should have. They could have won. Tennessee kind of returned the favor that they got against Georgia. I thought Mississippi State was the better team that day, but they didn't win. And then Georgia beat Tennessee and kind of the same deal, right? So You're right. There's a lot more parity in the SEC. Bobby Petrino back as head coach of Arkansas.
Yeah, Atlanta Falcons fans love that guy.
Yeah, wow. How crazy is that, right? Sam Pittman fired after a whooping.
What do you think? You want to talk about a guy who probably was not liked inside of that building. He immediately gets the job and fires 3 defensive staff members. Just immediately, he's like, no, man, you got to go. Like, I'm just like, they must have hated that guy or whatever before that. And then he gets the job and he's like, yep, been waiting for this. You're gone. Like, get out of here, dude.
Do you think that he sees in practice like they're not doing, because I'll tell you this. There's people that I talk to that played in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball that played at Alabama that look at the swarm defense and kind of just hate it. Just hate it. They say it's fundamentally flawed. They don't like the mugging. Defense? The swarm, Alabama's defense.
Oh, yeah, God.
Defense. They don't like it, dude. They tell me that it's fundamentally bad.
Oh, no, dude. Roman Harper has stood on his pedestal so many times to talk about this. And I don't know who you're talking about, but I listen to Roman Harper. He's talked to, he's had conversations with Cole Kublik. They did a read and react. And it actually thought about him during the game because Domani Jackson was so bad at times with his eyes. And he's peeking in the backfield. And then you get the the slant and go that beats him for a touchdown early in the game. And I'm sitting there going, Roman Harper's watching this, losing his mind at the eyes of our secondary peeking in the backfield. Now, sometimes it works to our benefit. But there's so many times where as a defense, we're in zone or whatever, and we're just looking in the backfield or we're in man looking in the backfield. Just it gives them an opportunity to stop some of the, screen game out wide and things like that. But, boy, double moves on guys like Domani and other DBs, they're going to hit a lot of times when you play a defense like that. it seems so boom or bust. I didn't play defense, man, but golly, it seems like it either works really well or you are getting torched.
Mm-hmm. Well, Domani taking a bunch of hits on the post-game show after the game, obviously.
It was bad, man.
I didn't even think about the scheme being a part of that. I mean, this is a guy that was a 5-star, and a lot of people feel like he's one of the most talented guys on the field.
Yeah. Well, and look, man, here's the nature of the beast with that. It wasn't just the eyes or the scheme. Now, I will say, I don't know if you noticed this, and I'm sure some people in your post-game show did. When that happened on the slant and go, and Domani's looking in the backfield, they're coming off the field. Did you notice Kane Womack talking to Kalen DeBoer and then talking to the players? Kane looks at DeBoer. They're having a discussion, and DeBoer is upset about something. And then as the players are coming off the field, Kane Womack's going, "Hey, that's on me.
Yeah,
that's on me. See that. That's on me. That's on me. That's on me." And I'm sitting there going, what the hell were you saying? You know what I mean? Like, what was so bad on you? Was he supposed to have safety help over the top? Was there, I don't know. I had to go back and look at the all 22, but it's weird. You rarely do you see a defensive coordinator wear one on the sleeve like that. I can't even think of a time that you saw a defensive coordinator say, "Hey, that's my bad" on a play like that. So it does. And I know he's drawn the ire of Alabama fans in the past, and rightfully so, but I kind of like that he owned up to that one and didn't throw Domani Jackson on the bus. But other than that, in run contain, Domani Jackson was awful. I don't know what scheme would have delivered me from thinking that, but the ability of Nate Frazier and their other running back to break outside, and Domani Jackson's supposed to be the contained player, and they're up the sideline for 30 yards, 40 yards, that was maddening.
Yeah, so, he's not going to play if he doesn't figure that out.
No, dude. And again, all the talent in the world. I always remember Domani Jackson. I remember pictures coming out a week or two before Nick retired.
Yeah.
And Domani Jackson's visiting from USC, and I'm like, oh, great. Like, how could anybody meet with Nick Saban on the practice field during, preparation for a college football playoff game as a DB and say no to that? And then Nick retires like a week or two later, and I'm like, oh. And sure enough, Domani Jackson still comes to Bama and makes it happen. And so he's been there and been talented. It was maddening watching him on Saturday night.
How does he fix it?
Well, I don't know how Kane Womack's, how that affects things. Now, I always go back to Nick Saban's statement. He said this a couple of times. When it comes to DBs playing the run outside, he would say there's no stop signs on the interstate, man. There's a reason you have an off-ramp. Like, I don't need you slowing down, baby. Like, hit that thing. Don't hit a stop sign. Let's go. Like, fly up there. If you've got contained, don't wait off to the side and kind of, read the block and try to get contained. Fly up at a good angle and try to take out the lead blocker and then, and use that to turn the guy back in. I don't think there was enough depth, depending on what Domani Jackson's, actual assignment was. He was just folding back in the defense scheme, not getting any depth off of the football and not flying up, to the line of scrimmage. So when he's folding back in towards the box and he's at the second level, like linebacker level, the running backs are like, oh, good, I'm really fast. I'll just bounce this outside. And Domani Jackson couldn't react fast enough. But again, I mean, I don't play DB. I don't pretend to know. Does he have a C gap assignment or a tight end running him off the ball? I don't know. But man, it just stuck out so bad at like probably 4 or 5 times on Saturday night that there was no contain to his side of the field.
Yep. No doubt about it. Alabama wins 24-21. Second straight year they've beaten Georgia. 10 out of 11 now. And they end the 33-game winning streak for the Dogs. And as big as this game is, there's another game. And it's not that big anymore. Georgia's not going to be out of the college football playoff because of that loss. Alabama's not in because of that loss. Is it the best win of the season in college football? Arguably, yes. Bama's back in the top 10 in one of the polls, number 11 in the other.
Yeah.
So they've got some momentum, and Vanderbilt comes to town, and that's where Alabama fell off last year, and you and I said that. Before we talk about that, I do want to talk a little bit about Kelce.com. And, I love bringing up stuff that we kind of take a pause on, on the flow of the show and just kind of thinking about some things outside of the box. Now with Kelce, they also, it's legal in all 50 states. Basically it's gambling without gambling. It's like an exchange, like a stock exchange on where you just basically, exchange with other people on ideas. Legal in 50 states, you get better odds, no house vig, stuff like that. No limits, live trading, flexibility, transparent pricing, and it's not just football, right? I'm going to start with football. And I love the fact that they're part of what we do here, but they have thrown up on their site, Kelce.com, Bama Vanderbilt, and right now 74% of the money is on Alabama, right? Vanderbilt ranked number 10, and that's obviously coming up this Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium at 2:30. So that'll be really interesting to see that. Are you surprised at all that the majority of people are betting Alabama right now?
No, because I think when it comes to majorities, it's branding. A lot of it is. That's why I think so many people look at the line movement. I'll tell you the best thing you can do half the time with some of the gambling stuff with some of the lines, Mick, is get somebody who doesn't pay close attention to pick games, right? And then what you do is you go back and you bet against them. Because I think if anybody who doesn't pay close attention is going, well, Alabama is going to beat Vanderbilt. If you bet against somebody who's just a kind of just, you'll get your wife to bet games. And I guarantee you, if you just bet against your wife in every game, you'd be better off than if you bet the games. That's what I always say. I'm like, dude, you got to just bet against, John Q. Public, and you'll probably be in a good spot at the end.
One of the great things about Kelce, though, is it's not just sports, right? I mean, you're talking about a myriad of things that you can get into: politics, sports, culture, crypto, climate, economics, mentions, companies, financials. Tech and science is where I'm going to land on this next question, Mike. Let me ask you this. Over $700,000 has been put down on the topic. Will the U.S. say that aliens exist this year? What do you think?
What is it? What qualifies as an alien? Let me start with that one. I mean, is it any life form outside of Earth? That's what it is.
Like intelligent life.
I think that intelligent life, no. Aliens, yes. Intelligent life, no. I'm gonna go with no on intelligent life. Okay. See, I would think like any organism. I think there's got to be other organisms out there. Like small organisms, but I don't think it's intelligent life. I think they're very small. I don't know. How did we get on this topic? I don't know.
Well, because it's Kelce, man. I've got to go on here and ask you this serious question. I think that there is extraterrestrial life. You know this. And I think that there is a chance that they're going to admit it, because now we have videos of it flying around. But if you put your money down and they don't admit it, you'll win. And if you put your money down and they do admit it, finally.
Is there anything on there, Mick, that says, will Caden Proctor score a receiving touchdown this year? Is there anything like that? Anything like that?
Yes. And look, I wish that they would have put that up there, because you are a guy that has a football behind you right there.
Yeah.
Where you got an opportunity as an offensive lineman, and it was about as rare as extraterrestrial life for an offensive lineman to catch a touchdown. First off, remind everybody about your tutty, and then tell me what you thought about Caden Proctor's. Went down as a run, but it looked a lot like a pass to me.
Yeah, nice little wrinkle, because you saw him early in the game, and I think we had to call a timeout. So he kind of comes in like a little motion towards the formation, right? And I kept thinking, what a cool way to do this. You call some dysfunction in the defense. He's really athletic. He's 360 pounds, like just an extra wrinkle, man. Just something for not only Georgia to have to contend with, but now you're Vanderbilt. Now you're watching tape going, okay, hey, look, let's spend 5-10 minutes just talking about this. And, it's one of the reasons you see teams do swinging gate field goals still. It's just another thing to throw out there. Never in a million years, Mick, did I think that they were going to throw it to him. If anything, I could have seen him motion in and getting like a downhill handoff, but it brought back memories, and you'll remember this. Do you remember Andre Smith scoring against Oklahoma State?
Yo, guys, he was like, we gotta go rah, rah, rah. Yeah. Did you play on that team? Yeah, we're gonna stop that trap. Were you on that team?
I played in that game for sure, man.
Yeah, so Shank said somebody showed him that yesterday, which is pretty funny. Joe Kynes coached one game, right? And that was it. And
Yeah, that was it.
he threw a pass to, well, he had him throw a pass to Andre Smith, John Parker Wilson,
Yeah.
one of the great
It was
Alabama
like a
quarterbacks.
rollout. It was like a
Yeah.
rollout protection. Andre just gets beat on purpose on the rollout, and John Parker just kind of jump laterals it back to him over the top of the defender and just kind of waltzes in, man. It was
It was designed that way though.
oh yeah, dude. It was awesome. And
What was
what
it like in
sucks is,
practice?
here's what sucks about that whole thing. We designed that play. It hit like 5 out of 5 times in practice. I mean, we could have ran it whenever we wanted to on our defense. Joe Kine was losing his mind through bowl practice. We told the referees before the game that it was going to happen. The line judge on that side wasn't paying attention to whenever they were talking about, hey, we got this trick play. It's lateral. It's back to left tackle. He'll, hopefully score a touchdown. Well, the guy throws a flag like immediately. And I'm like, okay, did John Parker throw it forward on accident?
Right.
So it kind of dampened the celebration. Like Andre just kind of turned around. And he was like, oh, I got flagged, like, oh man, they're going to take my touchdown away. And then after discussion, all the other referees are like, dude, they told us this was going to happen before the game started. Why are you throwing a flag? It was very clearly not a forward lateral. And then they're like, okay, we'll wave the flag off, touchdown. And I was like, you took the celebration away from that big man, dude. Like, how dare you do that? That was so wrong. I wish Caden would have gotten the end zone, man. There's just nothing better than a big man touchdown.
Well, I agree. So what happened with yours? And then I want to talk about what it reminded me of watching him catch that pass.
Yeah, so with mine, it was a goal line formation. We were playing the Saints. We were in the Superdome playing the Saints. Now, our offense is loaded at this point, man. Like, I'm on this formation with Michael Turner, Julio, Roddy, and Tony. Julio Jones, Roddy, White, and Tony Gonzalez.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're like, Mike, you're going to be tight end. All you're going to do is you're going to take the coverage away so that we can throw a ball on the back line to Tony Gonzalez. Like, you'll just run out into the flat. A safety will go with you, and Tony's kind of running a drag across the formation. We'll just hit Tony right there over the middle, and there won't be any safety in the middle because the safety will go with you. Well, the play gets called. I'm blocking Will Smith. Rest in peace. Hate the tragic accident that happened to him, but blocking him, I go out into the flat. The safety that was supposed to go with me doesn't even look at me, dude. He's like, Tony Gonzalez is coming across this formation. I'm not going with this fat guy out here into the flat. So I see Matt. I turn around and I'm looking at Matt, and he just kind of looks at Tony, then he looks at me, and he's like, I can see it in Matt's eyes. Matt like floats this ball, and he's like, oh shit, cannot believe I'm about to throw this pass to Mike Johnson. And I called it, and I didn't even celebrate because I just turned around and I was like, what just happened? I have no idea what just happened. The ball landed in the breadbasket. I'm in the Superdome. That's the craziest thing that ever happened. Then I get absolutely mauled by Tony, by the offensive line, by Matt. It was a really cool moment, but I still can't believe it happened. I really can't.
Yeah, right. I bet that I'm stealing a page out of one of my fraternity brothers, the late great Zach White. He was talking about this epic football game between Pounders and I think it was Pounders and Gillettes or Pounders and Innisfree. They used to anyway back in the day they had this football game, and a good buddy Bricken throws him the ball, and he said it was like a feather, like it just took forever to get there. Like I love that description.
Yes, dude. It was like an NFL Films.
You're just like waiting and waiting and waiting.
I tell you what was crazy, and how people talk about when basketball players have to play in stadiums, how the depth behind the glass is different. It's like harder to shoot. Like I never called a pass in a stadium. And so seeing the ball come at me with all these fans in the background, I remember that distinctly being like, damn, I can't see this. That's crazy.
Yeah. What was it like when you got it in your hands?
Dude, it's funny. You can go back and watch the tape. I made my hands as huge as possible. I could distinctly remember stretching them as big as they would go and just putting them right here. Like, please God, don't drop this. Like, please.
The crazy thing is the ball's right behind you. That's the exact ball.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's the exact ball. It's got a tag on it right there. You know what's crazy is after that was over, I don't know, we're way off on a tangent. So I had to go in the field goal unit. I was on the field goal unit for extra point. And so after that's over, I just throw the ball to the referee, go do the field goal. And then I'm like, oh, dude, I should have definitely kept that ball. So I went to the referee, and he's like, I'm like, where's that ball at? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, dude, how did I not get that ball. And sure enough, I get to the sideline and our equipment manager's like, "Hey man, got your ball." I was like, "Oh, thank you, God."
God,
Thank you,
you got to
dude.
tip that guy a little something.
I know.
Extra.
I was like, "Thank you, Jesus." I thought that thing was gone forever, and I was just going to steal one and just claim that was the one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's so awesome, though.
Yeah, man, it's funny.
What a great story. Well, did you ever watch during the Super Bowl, they used to have the Bud Bowl? Do you remember this? It was like Bud Light against Budweiser.
Yep.
And it was like, they don't do it anymore, but every Super Bowl they would have it. And Budweiser always seemed to win, but all the commercials were the beer cans going at each other playing football. And one of the Bud Bowls, I think it was Budweiser won because they got like a 40-ounce Bud, came on. You remember? And it was like short yards, and the guys just like, everybody's bouncing off of them, and nobody. This guy scores and spikes the ball. When we threw the ball to Caden Proctor, it felt like that old Bud Bowl commercial. I mean, the first guy's like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to make it look good. As Shank said, it was a business decision as he dove at the feet, just got out of the way. And then, and it was like, I gotta wish he would have scored a touchdown, but it was so fun just watching people bounce off of him and him running through traffic.
I know.
Like,
I kept going, why are you trying to read the block in front of you? Like, just square the guy up that's running at you. He's never going to tackle you. Just drag the guy into the end zone. Like, I love how he's like tucking in behind his blockers. I'm like, I get it in real time. You're probably like, oh, this is just like Madden. Like, I'm just going to tuck in behind the blockers. But did you weigh 360? Like, truck that guy. Like, who cares what the blocker's at? Just
that was the moment where I was like, they got all the stops again this year. You know? And it's like, man, I was on the post-game show or on the pregame show on Friday recording it, and, got to me end of the show, and I'm like, look, I think Bama's going to win. These are guys they've played against. It's not going to be an effort issue. That's been our problem against some of these teams. Vanderbilt's the game that worries me the most of the next two games, and here we are. And I'm telling you right now, this game really worries me. And that's, I guess, a good transition, but big win against Georgia. But now you got to forget about that and get ready for a guy that's played so much quarterback. I mean, this guy's like a pro college player at this point,
Yeah,
and,
he is.
Diego Pavetta. And the problem that I have with Alabama's swarm defense is that they leave a lot to be desired. They give up a bunch of big plays, right? Yeah. This guy's gonna run. He's gonna throw. And for Bama to win this game, they're going to have to score a ton of points. I just feel like that's the formula. Last year, obviously Jalen Milroe threw that pick 6. They're down 14 early, and they never really got back. They're going to have to they better take this game, and I'm sure they will, but they're going to have to take this game as serious or more seriously than they took Georgia.
Yeah, this reminds me of a game that Nick Saban would have had a poster in, all offseason about, you know what I mean? Like a poster in everybody's locker or on the door into the facility about how you lost to Mississippi State or you lost to Utah, whatever it may be. This one would have been posted all around the facility. I don't know that Kalen DeBoer goes about it the same way, but I'm with you on the defensive struggles. We struggled so bad, and I'm going to go back not to the Vanderbilt game a year ago because obviously that was shocking. I go back to playing Jackson Arnold in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Like that to me was worse than the Vanderbilt game because they were so one-dimensional at Oklahoma, and we couldn't do anything about it. We did nothing to stop what they were doing with Jackson Arnold running the ball down our throat, play after play after play, and we couldn't stop them. And so I think you add in the fact that there's a lot of eye candy. There's going to be a lot of moving parts with Vanderbilt. I think that, like you talked about, Kane Womack, when it comes to dual threat quarterbacks, hasn't shown the ability to stop them. I mean, we haven't shown that ability. So until that happens, I'm going to have a hard time believing it. And I think a lot of people, that watch college football are going to feel the same way approaching this game. I don't think that – I do love the fact it's a home game, first and foremost, and I am going to be in the stadium, so I'm stoked about that. But – I just don't think that I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk by any means. I'm hoping for a Bama 1 touchdown victory. Diego Pavia is he's next level, dude. Like the things I don't know. He had 6 touchdowns last week, something like that.
Yeah,
just insane what he's able to do on a week in and week out basis. And they deserve to be. They're undefeated. They deserve to be undefeated. Last year, I don't know if you remember this. Last year in week 2, Vanderbilt came to Turner Field and lost to Georgia State.
I know,
dude. And then, like, now I'm looking at him going, you deserve to be, 4-0, 5-0, whatever it is. Like, you are that record. You are a good team. And they play they play so hard on the offensive line. Yeah. Are they as talented as Alabama? Absolutely freaking not. But you want to talk about guys, and I say this all the time, offensive linemen that are in a scheme like that are not afraid to fall on their face are dangerous, dude.
Yep.
Like, they are missiles coming off the ball, pulling. They don't care if they fall on their face because that means you probably got out of the way. And I absolutely love that style of blocking, man. So it's going to be a slugfest. I hope Kalen DeBoer, I hope he hits the ground running and delivering that message to this team this week.
I think everybody got it. Ryan Williams basically called him out on John Gruden's podcast. Ant and a sledgehammer. They're not an ant. They might wear Vanderbilt, but they're not an ant. They're a good team, and they have the most dangerous quarterback in the league. Every team's good now in the SEC, even weirdly Arkansas. I bet you they're going to surprise some people with Bobby Petrino.
I want to talk about Ryan Williams for a second. Did you happen to notice Kirk Herbstreit talking about Ryan Williams multiple times early in the game? I don't know if you had the volume on, but there's a play early where Ryan Williams they're kind of running like a split zone, and Ryan Williams has to block the backside end or the safety or whatever it was, and he just kind of olays him. I was like, maybe they're setting up for a bootleg later, but Herbstreit. And here's what people have to understand about Herbstreit, dude. He sits in meetings with the coaches all week. Like, he has off-the-cuff conversations. They knew the Caden Proctor play was coming, right? So he's having conversations with guys, and I think a lot of people looked at what he said about Ryan Williams and thought, okay, Kirk Herbstreit's picking on Ryan Williams. But then he has the drop touchdown. There's another play that happens, and Kirk Herbstreit is very clearly, to me, being like, hey, Ryan Williams has got to step up, dude. He misses a block on a play where Jeremy Bernard is able to shake free. There's just a couple of mess ups there in the first quarter, and Herbstreit was like very bluntly being like, this guy is not stepping up the way we thought he would. And then, he kind of massages it, and he says something along the lines of like, there you go, Ryan Williams, because he makes a block. And all I could think in my head was the coaches in these meetings must have been hammering Ryan Williams on film, because Herbstreit does not go out of his way to say things like that are not something he already had in his mind. And then to egg him, it was almost like he felt bad, like he went in too hard. It was like, dang, I called him out, and I shouldn't have done that. So then he kind of hypes Ryan Williams up a couple of plays later. He's like, Ryan Williams has been off the field for 4 plays. I think they're trying to send a message to him. And then he comes back and he makes a block or makes a catch, and he's like, there you go, too. He makes the catch along the sideline where he gets hit real hard.
Yeah, it was a good catch.
And it was almost like Herbstreit was like, all right, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I kind of went in hard on him. But, I thought that was a really interesting inside look into what these conversations must be like behind closed doors about Ryan Williams. We've all seen guys like that a lot of hype. He's 19, probably not as tough as some of the wide receivers that have played there before him.
Right.
And Kalen DeBoer kind of gets that, that we all have that feeling about Kalen DeBoer's offense anyways, coming off of, some of the performances last year. So I just thought that one little trinket, that one little first quarter thing from Herbstreit was very interesting. I mean, it really stuck out.
Yeah. Well, the problem that people have is that the guy's paid probably the most paid player on the team, right?
Yes, by far.
By far, from what I understand. And he's a super talented guy. I've gotten onto him before as well. The drops have to stop, and it's, look, when you're an amateur, that's one thing, but now you're paid to make those plays. Yep. Nobody cares about your podcast. Nobody cares about
it's the whole thing, Nick, right? It's the money, and it's like people are going to talk about his fingernails being painted or his TikTok videos.
Or his stuffed animal.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the Bama of yore. You know what I mean? So let's just leave it at that. He stepped up and made a couple plays, but the thing about it is, man, like if you're gonna drop balls, I'm not gonna harp on that. You can't play soft though, and that's what I'm really getting nervous about. So hopefully he gets that turned around in a hurry.
Yeah, he's dynamically talented,
insane,
and I do think I've met him. He's a good kid. Just to throw that out there, really a good kid. And I'm pulling for him.
Yeah,
but when you watch Latsier Brooks make that play across the middle You know the one I'm talking about. He catches the ball, and then he's just breaking tackles and turns that 21-yard gain in what should have been like a 5-yard gain, right? You see that effort. You see that, like, kind of has that old school, and I don't even think it's old school. He just kind of has that Smitty, Waddle, Ruggs, Judy look to him. You know, just the way he moves, the way he catches, the effort that's there. There's a smoothness to this kid that I love. Ryan Williams just has to catch the ball. And then everybody, the fingernails are cute again. The stuffed animal's fine.
100%. 100%.
And it's the same thing I said about Greg Byrne. There's people that are after him right now, but you know what? A couple more of these, and he doesn't have to worry about that.
100%.
You know,
100%.
Games, and that's it. And I want to preference this by saying I personally don't have a problem with Greg Byrne.
I don't either.
But there's people that do. I mean, it's just the way it is, and that weren't happy after that Florida State game, that weren't happy with the toughness that we were trending in the wrong direction for. But we played tough. And I've noticed this, and I guess I'll close the show on this last thing, is that Kalen DeBoer is figuring it out. I can see it. You know, and look, they may lose, and I may take these words back. Okay, so I have the right to recuse myself after I'm saying this. But I just get the vibe, and I do like Kalen DeBoer, and you like Kalen DeBoer, that he's going about it backwards. In life, when you're a leader, it's easier to be a jerk at the beginning and lighten up on people. It's harder to be nice at the beginning and then be tougher. But he's doing that.
I agree with that. And, you know, Mick, we had this conversation a dozen times last year, and I told you one thing about Kalen DeBoer. I said, I'm going to find out how I feel about Kalen DeBoer when that final game of this season's over, talking about last year, and we see how many guys are actually staying around that are starters on this team. And a couple did leave, but a lot of those defensive starters, a lot of those guys like Ryan Williams decided they were coming back to this team. The Ty Simpsons of the world, the Caden Proctors, those guys decided they were coming back. And I know almost all of those guys had offers to go somewhere else and probably for more money. And that, to me, tells me a lot this day and age in the transfer portal and NIL market, that he has that relationship with them, and he's able to kind of walk that line of, I'm going to pay you, but I got to coach you. But I hope we're cool enough that you stick around when I hold you to task. It's a tough line to walk, man. And for a guy that doesn't have a national championship ring the way a Kirby Smart does, that can be a very tough thing to navigate. So I'm with you on that, man. I'm Kalen fan. I'm like you. I might walk it back later, but I'm a Greg Byrne fan too. And don't forget, man, I had to remind people this all the time when it comes to Greg Byrne. Malmore offered the job to Rich Rodriguez, Mick. He offered the job to Rich Rodriguez. Don't ever forget that.
Yeah, your life would be a lot different. Guys, I got to tell you about Bod Coach. And I've really, really enjoyed our partnership with Bod Coach. And it's because it's helped me get into better shape. And I continue to do that. Bod Coach is basically like your own personal trainer. You get texts every day from mine's name's Evan. I know Evan's probably a computer somewhere. But it's awesome. Like, I'll say, Evan's like, hey, did you work out today? What'd you do? Yesterday I didn't. I was out on the boat and then, had some stuff to do. I became an elk here in Fairhope. So I'm part of the Elks Club now. So I had the initiation. So I didn't get to work out. The day before, 5 miles. Today, we'll see. I'll tell Evan, like, hey, I'm at home. I don't have a gym here. Can't get to the gym. Give me a workout, 20 minutes. I want to do this muscle group, and I'll get that. If I walk, they'll calculate that in. And I get basically personalized workout routines depending on where I'm at. And I travel a lot, Mike, like you do. It's like we're constantly on the go. Everywhere I go. I go walk into a gym in a hotel. I look at the weight set and what they have or they don't have. And then I tell Evan, and then he's like, hey, do this, 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 and this. I walk out. And I feel like this, like I'm like this. So, Bod Coach, take advantage of that right there. Bod Coach, /Bama, but go look at it. And I'm telling you guys, if you're, if working out's important to you and you want to get in shape or stay in shape, definitely something that you ought to check out. And we appreciate them so much for being a part of what we do. And I honestly, man, like the partnership's been really rewarding to me outside of the fact that you get compensated for it. I mean, like the actual bod coach is something that I plan on keeping. I hope I have this thing for a long time. And then lastly, I want to tell you guys that we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort, Philadelphia, Mississippi. You could have gone to the Timeout Sports Lounge, took Bama, and gotten 2.5 points, and you would have won. It's a Vegas-style sports book right there in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 and change from Birmingham, right at Golden Moon Casino. And I'm going to Vegas on Friday, right? Got to see the Eagles on Saturday at the Sphere, Mike. I'm going to be out there for the Vandy game. But you don't have to make that trek. You don't have to take that long flight. Just hit it over to Philadelphia and check out Pearl River Resort. And I'm telling you, they got everything you need over there. All right, that does it for us. We'll be back together next Monday. I don't think we have to warn everybody that Vanderbilt is going to be an epic battle. And they're ranked, and we're ranked. This isn't the Vandy team where the guy's like, this is Vanderbilt football, or bring on Bama or whatever he said.
Bama's next.
Yeah. This is different. This is Vandy with some money and some guys that got a lot to prove. So like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you guys for being here. Get in the comment section and roll tide.
I may not suit up on Saturdays anymore, but I'm still in the game.
Let's roll.
In here, I call the plays, make adjustments, and lay it on the line. Want to feel that fire, that rush? Then you've got to get in the game. I used to say it in the tunnel, and I still say it now. Let's roll.